Hello, hello. All right, letting some people in real quick. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Sacred Circle. I'm super excited about this. I just kept hearing the word creativity, creativity, creativity. So that's what we're going to talk about today is creativity. And I'm hoping that we'll talk about it in a way that maybe brings in some new perspectives, that brings in maybe you've never thought about creativity this way. So I'm really excited. So let's just dive right in. Let's go ahead and take 3 deep breaths together just to drop into this space. And I want us to breathe in intentionally for today. All right. So if you want to let your eyes fall shut, feel free to do so. And let's go ahead and take a deep breath in, breathing in silence, quieting your thoughts, feeling your belly and holding at the top. And let's just hold here at the top for about 10 seconds. Being with that stillness, that silence, and then letting it go through the mouth. And our next breath in, breathing in curiosity, holding it at the top, seeing what comes up for you, and then letting it go. And last breath, we're going to breathe in courage. Holding at the top, feeling that breath, giving you courage, giving you that life force energy to move forward, to take action, and then letting it go. And allowing your breathing to return to normal, in and out through your nose, ideally breathing into your belly. And you can open your eyes and come back. So the reason I wanted to start with breathing in silence and curiosity and courage is because these are the 3 things that we're going to talk about with creativity. And so with triads, if you watched the last one, the last Sacred Circle, you know that triads are little nuggets of druidic wisdom. And some of them are very, very old and ancient. And then also modern druids get to make triads as well through wisdom. And so this is more of a modern triad, but it still fits, 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years in the future. But there are 3 wells of creativity: silence, curiosity, and courage. So let's dive in to these. So each one, I'm going to give you an embodiment practice too. So if you want to take notes, if you want to write it down, feel free to. If you don't, this is always available to you. So starting with silence. So when people think of silence, a lot of people associate it with emptiness. But what it really is openness, right? It's being ready to receive. Because today's society, it's so much hustle, hustle, hustle. Get up, eat breakfast, maybe get a quick workout in, get ready, go to work, spend 8 hours at work, go pick the kids up, go home, cook dinner, do homework, put the kids to bed, go to sleep. It's like a full day is how society is set up. And I know a lot of us have broken out of that rat race, but for a lot of us, we're still conditioned to the hustle, right? How many times do you go and sit down in the evening or maybe in the morning? You're just sitting down, you're resting, you're chilling, and then your brain goes, oh, I should get up and wash the dishes. I should get up and do this. Or maybe you give yourself a list of things and you're not allowed to rest until that list is done, right? And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, we do need some level of self-discipline to get stuff done. But by finding time to be in silence, to be in stillness, we're training ourselves to listen, to open up, right? In that silence, that's when the limiting beliefs come up. Those negative thought patterns start to come up. And so it gets very uncomfortable. And so people get on their phone and scroll to feel that silence. They get on the TV and binge silly reality shows. And, if reality shows is what does my friend say? I think she calls it trash TV. Like if that's what you like to do to like decompress and unwind, I am not judging. But when we're constantly feeling in the emptiness, when we're constantly feeling in when I say emptiness, I mean like the unblocked time in your free time. If you can't just sit in the silence because it gets too overwhelming, it's too anxious for you, then we get to start deconditioning that. We get to start learning how to be comfortable in the quiet. Because when we're in that quiet, when we're in the silence, that's when our intuition gets louder. We can hear our inner authority better, more clearer. And that's when the inspiration, the wisdom comes in for the creative process. I'm not sure if anyone has read Big Magic, I think the book is, but in the beginning of the book, she talks about how ideas are kind of just circulating in the energy field. And when an idea comes to you, it's up to you to receive it. It's up to you to put it into action. And if you don't take action on it, then the idea is going to go back up into the field because it wants to be brought to life. So when we're in the silence, that's when those little balls of wisdom, the ideas, the creativity, that's when it starts coming in. The inspiration starts coming in. Okay? So a way that we can begin to embody silence is to just make space every day for silence. To sit and stare at a wall for 10 minutes, right? And this can be like a meditative experience too, just without the music and the background noise. But if you just sit and like stare at the ceiling or wherever, you're going to notice thoughts that come up, right? And the key is to acknowledge those thoughts and then allow them to float away. Just like in breath work, how we acknowledge it and then we let it float away so that we can sit in that silence. And then eventually, maybe quickly, maybe not, you'll have an idea that comes to you that you're like, ooh, okay, I'm ready to look at this. I'm curious now, right? So that's where the curiosity comes in. We're sitting in silence. This spark comes in. In the Celtic tradition, we call it the awen, the inspiration. So the awen comes in, and then we get to start playing with it. Curiosity is very playful. It's a devotion, right? Where we're really diving into this idea and playing with this idea, but not in like a strict, rigid way, just in a way that's very intuitive, right? It's what if XYZ? What if I did this? What if I tried this new technique? What if I just came up with this on my own versus what will they think? So the first thing that comes to my mind is like if I want to try a new crochet technique, right? I can say, ooh, what if this works out better and my edges are straighter? That's curiosity versus, well, what if other crocheters judge me because I'm doing something that no one else has done, right? That's the difference. What if is playful. And curiosity, it suffocates under certainty. So the rigidness, the structure, I need to have this X or A to Z figured out, XYZ figured out. That's where curiosity really gets smothered out. But if we want curiosity to go from this ember into this big bonfire, we get to be explorative. We get to have fun with it and try stuff that doesn't work out and fail and retry other things. Because failure doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It just means, okay, cool, that didn't work, great. Let's try something else out. And when we're curious, we're reparenting our inner critic, that inner voice that says, oh, this is stupid. Oh, people are going to think you're dumb for trying that. We're reparenting it by being curious, by giving ourselves permission to mess up, to make mistakes, right? when a kid is learning to pour their own cereal, they're going to spill the milk. They're going to knock the bowl over and they're going to make a huge mess. But it's no big deal. You just clean it up and try again. Same thing with curiosity. Now, a really fun embodiment thing that you could do, honestly, every day is called what if journaling. Now, I know with anxiety, people avoid the what if game. But when we're talking about it in terms of curiosity, it's about playfulness. It's not about messing up. You can't mess it up. So, in the morning, randomly throughout your day or throughout your week, just get a sheet of paper and just write what if, and then just start writing whatever the first thing that comes to mind is. What if I try to crochet a life-size tree, right? That would fill up a page for sure. What if I did a sound bath at the lake and allowed people to just come and soak in the vibrations for donations, right? Like, not that, all of this has to be like business related, but a lot of times our businesses are really connected with us intricately. Like, it's a deep personal extension of us. So who knows? What if can bring about so much fun ideas. But the key is that when we're curious, when we're having these ideas, it's really important that the ideas don't just stay stuck in our head, but that we actually take action. Okay. And this is the part that people get really scared. But the third well of creativity is courage, because we have to be courageous to take action. And courage is this steady energy. It's not like, hey, look at me, like, put your attention over here. But it's about taking those small baby steps and slowly climbing the mountain. Like, we're not just going to be a cross-country sprinter up these hills, right? We're going to take it slow. And we're going to take that deep breath and take a step. Take that deep breath and take a step, right? And some days it's going to feel like we can walk a mile in 30 minutes. And some days it might feel like walking even a tenth of a mile takes an hour. And that's okay. It's not a race. It's about just showing up every day and taking action. Because, like I was saying earlier, you can receive wisdom. Those ideas, they come in the silence. And if you don't take action on them, it's going to go back out to someone else so that it can be brought to life, right? So we want to make sure that we are being courageous and showing up, because creativity requires exposure. And when we're exposed, certain exposures can trigger fear, can trigger uncertainty. But courage really bridges that gap between our inner revelations, our inner ideas, our inner sparks, that curiosity. It bridges that with the outer expression, with the finished piece. So, for example, crocheting a life-size tree, right? Not that I have any intentions to do that, but if I did, if that is something that I was curious about and playing with, I could easily see myself getting stuck in over-analysis paralysis, trying to figure out A to Z. Well, how much yarn do I need? What brand yarn should I use? What hook size should I use? How am I even going to climb up once the tree gets over, 5 feet tall? Like, I could see all of that uncertainty coming out for me. But having the courage to just purchase one skein of brown yarn is a courageous step to start bringing that idea of a life-size crochet tree into life. Okay, is this making sense? I hope so. So the courage is what really gets us from this internal thought, this internal idea, into sharing it with the world. And it turns inspiration into reality. And so an embodiment practice that you can do for courage is to share your creative expression with the world, right? Or to just show up every day and take one small step, right? Thinking about what is that spark that's in me right now, right? And if you listen to the Telegram message earlier today, talking about the spring energy and things starting to come back to life. And right now we're in this season of preparation, the planning part. So if you have an idea that you're curious about, that you're playing in curiosity, then taking one small step each day would be you embodying courage. And also, when you're finished at the end, showing it to your friends, posting it on Facebook, or however you want to share. Okay, so we've got the silence, the curiosity, and the courage is the 3 key foundations to creativity and to sharing creativity with the world. Now I want to talk about the 3 enemies of creativity: fear of judgment, forgetting your lineage, and waiting for permission. Maybe one of these sticks out to you. I know like all 3 are very true for me and my story. So fear of judgment, right? I feel like everyone at some point in their lives has a fear of judgment, and maybe you've grown out of it. Maybe you've worked through that. Maybe you still have some of that fear, that small inner critic in the back of your head. But as humans, you know, thousands of years ago, we had to live in community in order to survive, right? If you think about the tribes in like Africa, they have to come together to fight off the lions. You know, Native American tribes, they would come together because when they would hunt buffalo, it's so much easier to track and hunt something as big as a buffalo when you're in community, right? So fear of judgment comes from this evolutionary, I don't know what that word would be, but basically we have to be in community to survive. We have to belong in order to survive. Even with like the Salem witch trials, if someone thought that you were just a weirdo, or if someone even thought that maybe their husband thought that you looked attractive, they would outcast you and you would be burned at the stake, right? So it's so ingrained in us that we have to be likable. We need people to like us in order to survive. And when we are creative, when we're bringing creative endeavors to life, we risk the exclusion. We risk people misinterpreting what we mean or misunderstanding what we're trying to convey. So the fear says to stay small, stay likable, don't ruffle the feathers. But your soul is really saying, no, expand. People need this. We need new perspectives. We need new structures, new whatever it is. And it's also important to remember that when someone is casting judgment on you, it's actually nothing to do with you. It is just their own unexpressed desires, their own suppressed desires that they are not willing to say, like, hey, I actually would love to be a stay-at-home mom, but I'm too scared to have that conversation with my partner. So instead, I'm just going to hate on stay-at-home moms, right? Like, the judgment has nothing to do with you at all. And I think that's the one thing that really helped me begin to work through the fear of judgment. And so the way that you embody this is you just do. You just wear the outfit. You know, you just put up the post. You just send the text message. And I know we're all so guilty of this, of recording a voice message 15,000 times before you finally send it. And a 2-minute voice message ends up taking you 45 minutes to send. We've all been there because we all overthink. We're all like, oh, well, what if they think this is like, you know, what if they misinterpret it? Just do it without overthinking. The more you do that, the easier it gets, right? So, fear of judgment, we're moving through it. We can move with fear. We can tune into our breath, do some lion's breath, and be courageous and take those steps. Now, the second enemy, forgetting your lineage, okay? And this is along the same lines of forgetting who you are, right? Like, we are all badass women, and we all can do anything that we set our minds to. But sometimes we get disconnected and we forget how capable we are. We forget who we are. And so, yes, we can look at our ancestral lineage and see how resilient they were, right? Like with the Celtics being taken over by the Romans and having, you know, all of the Druidry basically erased from history and everything was burned by the Romans, to now we're seeing a revival of people learning Druidry and the old ways. Or if you have, you know, Native American lineage, looking at the way that they have been so resilient through everything. And it's with everyone, not just these two specific ones. So seeing how resilient your people are, your ancestors are, everything that they have went through and transformed, every generation getting better, the spiritual inheritance, teachings, myths, the land, all of these are a part of you. And this is all ancient wisdom that is stored, right? Most of us know that trauma is past. Okay, so is wisdom. So if you are carrying trauma, you're also carrying so much wisdom that you can tap into, that you can connect with, so that you remember that you're not alone, that you have an entire, not just spirit team around you, but there's also so many other people in your community that are behind you as well, that are cheering you on. And so when we start to forget about our community, about who we are, how powerful, how capable we are, we can start to feel isolated. And when we start feeling isolated, the fears creep in more. We stop taking those courageous steps. And so one thing that you can do here is to study one ancestral tradition and start implementing it. What did your ancestors do that really helped them stay connected to themselves? And maybe you have no idea what your ancestry is. That's okay. Just sit with yourself and ask, what's a tradition that I can start for myself to help me connect to my power? Maybe it is just getting a meditation or calling on your ancestors every morning. Use your intuition to really create your own embodiment practices aside from just the ones here too. Okay, and then lastly, waiting for permission. Permission culture has conditioned us, has taught us as women to seek validation before we speak, before we do, right? From having to ask husbands for permission to even make a simple purchase at the grocery store, having to ask for grocery money to go buy food for your kids, to now, permission. Like, I've heard so many, like, even myself, I have taken pictures of me wearing outfits and sent it to friends and saying, hey, does this look okay? Does this look okay? Do I look too fat wearing this? And I'm guilty of that too. Even something as simple as, what do I wear? How do I do my hair? What book should I read next? We're constantly asking for permission. And sometimes we don't even realize that that's what we're doing. Or we have an idea, and instead of just taking action on the idea, we have to voice message 3 of our friends to make sure that they also think it's a good idea before we waste our time, right? And so, speaking about creativity, that creativity requires self-initiation, right? No one's going to sit here and say, hey, Melissa, have you been courageous today? Have you taken action today? Hey, Angela, have you posted about your mindful moment today? Right? No one's going to sit here and initiate us in life, give us permission in life without us first asking, but we get to give ourselves permission. And if you need to do some work around this, do a ritual where you write yourself permission to wear a 2-piece outfit, to wear a halter top, to, go on a girls' weekend, right? Like, you can give yourself permission. We don't always have to have external validation, but we get to cultivate that within us. And as we cultivate that within us, we're naturally going to be more courageous, more determined, more creative, right? And so the way that you embody this is by just moving when you feel inspired, making your decision without asking for validation. Now, maybe you're like, well, in human design, I'm a manifesting generator, or I'm a manifestor, and I'm supposed to inform before I act, before I take action so people feel connected with me. Yes. And informing is different than asking validation. You can make your mind up and say, I'm going to have a sound bath by the daggum Sturgeon Bay, right? I was trying to think of like that one big lake near your house, but I couldn't think of the name of it. It might just be Green Bay. I don't know. But anyway, you're like, I'm going to have the sound bath here. I want there to be 10 people. I want people to donate this amount or more. This is the day I'm going to have it. And you can make all those decisions before you ever talk to your friend and say, you think this is a good idea? You can make products, TikToks, whatever, without sending them to friends first and asking for their validation, right? Okay, so just taking a deep breath here, because I know that was a lot. Just allowing all of that to just be in your energy field and knowing that it's going to integrate more as we go. And so just to end this out, I want us to just go through a very, very simple meditation, closing our eyes, taking a deep breath through our nose, into our belly, feeling that breath anchoring us into this present moment, into our bodies, and letting it go. Another deep breath in, finding that stillness, that silence, no background noise, and letting the breath go. Continuing just to take deep breaths on your own in a way that feels good and supportive. And in your mind's eye, begin to visualize or feel, sense you standing in this ancient forest. The trees are surrounding you. There's a gentle breeze blowing. You can see rays of sunlight peeking through the branches and the canopy of the trees. The birds are singing their beautiful songs, and the squirrels are running about. Feeling the grounds beneath your feet, supported by Mama Earth. And then begin to see or sense 3 separate wells in front of you. The one on the left is the well of silence. The one in the middle, the well of curiosity. And the one on the right, the well of courage. Just noticing if one of them is calling to you more than the others, if there's one that you want to step up to first. Allow your intuition to guide you as you step up to one of the wells. Giving gratitude to the well and the wisdom that you're about to receive. And then noticing a drawstring, a rope, bringing up a bucket from the depths of this well that you've chosen. Seeing the bucket of water rising up closer and closer. Seeing your reflection in the water. And then taking the bucket in your hands, feeling your energy connecting with the water. Maybe the water is starting to swirl or shimmer or glow. Just giving yourself this experience. and being open to receiving. Take a sip of this water and receive whatever wisdom this well has for you. Not judging it, but feeling it throughout your entire being. Thanking this well and returning the bucket. Moving to a second well, again, giving gratitude, being open and ready to receive, using the rope to draw the bucket of water up to you, seeing your reflection again, holding the bucket in your hand, noticing if anything is happening to the water. And then when you're ready, taking a sip and receiving wisdom from this well. Giving your gratitude. And placing the bucket back in the well. And then moving to the third and final well of silence or curiosity or courage. And again, we're going to be open to receiving as we raise this bucket of water up from the well, seeing our reflection as we hold the bucket, noticing the water, if it's doing anything, if it's the same or different at each well. And then when you're ready, taking a sip of that water and receiving its wisdom as well. Giving thanks to this final well and returning the bucket. And just taking a few steps back. Maybe you want to place your hands on your heart, or one on your heart, one on your belly. Maybe you just want to raise your palms up towards the sky. Whatever feels good to you. Trust that. Listen to that intuition. And just feeling gratitude for yourself for being this vessel. And giving thanks one more time to the land, to the water, to the wells, to your ancestors. Knowing that they're always with you. You can always call upon them. And then taking a deep breath in, beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And on your exhale, you can open your eyes. And I am going to end this here. I highly encourage you to grab your journal, jot some stuff down that came up for you. And if you have any questions, come into Discord. We'll keep talking about it. But enjoy your journal session. Thank you for showing up today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.